For part 2, we will present 7 different dishes using the Asian slaw we showed you in part 1. Let's do a quick review. But this is the dressing, and this is the completed salad. I'll tell you the things that are essential, and you wouldn't have to have all 3 cabbages, but you could. But what is essential is the extras. The sugar snap peas are delicious in this. The carrots are delicious, and the bean sprouts. Don't leave the bean sprouts out. And the red onion. All of it together is just so delicious. And now we can serve it many different ways. So this first one, let's say this is the bowl of the original Asian salad slaw. And I'm just going to circle and put as much dressing. It's pretty strong, so you be the determiner on that. And then you can put peanuts or any kind of nuts. I love peanuts, so I'm going to have teaspoonfuls. And these are already purchased wonton strips that are already fried. Or you can buy wonton strips and the recipe tells you how to do your own. And instead of cutting them in strips, you could just crush them. But the wontons are a wonderful addition too. And there we have a wonderful salad. But what if you want to vary it a little bit? Let's take another bowl of salad and let's put fruit in it. We still have a few grapes growing in our front yard, so these are some of our grapes and they're bite-sized. And then what about if you use the mandarin orange? These new batches of these new oranges just coming out are delicious. And if they're too big, then just snap them in half or cut them in half. You could use dried fruit too. I'll put a little of everything in for this one super salad. And these are freeze-dried golden zucchinis, and they are something very special. So we'll put one of those in. And what about craisins? Those are a little bit easier to get. And you could vary the nut. You could use cashew nuts. Here's some craisins in there. Cashew nuts, or just toasted pecans. Or we're going to use slivered almonds. They're best toasted too. And then on top of that, I recommend either a standard coleslaw dressing, which is mayo with different spices in it. I like to just use mayonnaise with rice wine vinegar, and just mix those two up and I'm good to go. This is commercial poppy seed dressing, or you could make your own. We're going to use poppy seed today for this. It's just been cold in the refrigerator and I put too much on. But you know what I mean. You could easily vary this and have completely different salads with different dressings 2 different days. One with a lot of fruit in it and one that has this more traditional flavor. You could also add fruit in either salad. So these are our first 2 entrees. We are going to be preparing another dish later, and I need 8 ounces of thin spaghetti for this dish. So let me show you how I divide a 1-pound package. Forget the little stuff. I just take it with my fingers, and when it looks equal, not yet, you can tell if one hand is holding more than another. That is equal, so I'm going to put one back in the package for another day. It's hard to get spaghetti in exactly the size you need it if you're cooking for 1 or 2. So I'll finish that up later. So I have boiling water, salted boiling water, and I'm going to put 8 ounces of thin spaghetti in this pot, and I'm going to boil it for 10 minutes. Our next objective is to make spring rolls. Spring rolls are made from Vietnamese rice pancakes, and they're already cooked. So you just need to dip them in hot water, and then you fill them. In order to soften these, you place them in hot water for about 5 seconds. So that's what I'm going to do here, and then you'll put it on a tea towel to drain. You can see it'll all fit. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That should take care of it. So on our first, oh, you can see where it's relaxed. So you just wait for it to relax. And then you have a real droopy thing to deal with. You spread it out on this tea towel, and you put, this is going to stick to itself, so it's like that cling wrap, and only it's edible. So you put a little of the spring mix in along the wrapper. Let me get some carrots and onion in there. So you've got a little of the spring mix. You even want to get sugar snap peas in there, and of course bean sprouts. So you've got all these good things automatically ready to go, and you can take a little of your dressing and just sprinkle it on. You just want a little bit of flavor because there's going to be a dipping sauce too. If you want to add chicken, I have some chicken that has also been marinated and cooked in this same dressing. I'll put a little in there. And then the last thing I'm going to put on this spring roll is a slice of cucumber. I thought avocados would be just delicious. However, our avocados did not last. So here we go, wrapping and keeping everything kind of together. It doesn't matter if it looks professional or not. This is something for your consumption. Oh dear, now it's dried out on here. I'm not sure I like the tea towel idea. We're going to do our second one without the tea towel to see. Now this is real stretchy and sticky, so when you think you've made a mess and it's absolutely not going to work, don't worry, because it's probably just fine. Now the dressing, see, even though it was really sticking, I'm having to mash that in, but that's okay because this is like a self-stick envelope. There you have a spring roll, and you can kind of form it even afterwards to make it look more like a roll, a spring roll. And it's full of delicious veggies. You can make as many of these as you want. I'm going to try it just on the plate with it slimy. For our second one, well, let's talk about the dressing, the dipping sauce. You could use a commercial dipping sauce, and for this one I'll just put this sweet chili sauce. There are lots of brands. It doesn't matter which one. I've had this in my fridge for a while, and it's good to just pull that out to use it for a dipping sauce with your raw spring roll. So this is serving number 3. A spring roll variation we're going to try. So we'll do our softening, put it in there until it's looking like it's collapsed. I may not wait quite as long as I did the first time. And again, I think I want it on the plate so it'll be won't be sticking to the towel. I was going by the package directions. And what you're wanting to do, there it goes. You can just see it come falling apart. So I've got it, it's not sticking together quite as badly as the first one. And I like it just directly on the plate because it's spread right out, nothing is sticking. So I am going to do another helping of those spring rolls. Are so good with bean sprouts, and I want to make sure I get some onions on there. Okay, and more of the sauce. just enough to add a little flavor to the crunchy vegetables, not enough to make it gooey on the inside. And then we're going to roll, because I put this kind of, you can see it, I put it kind of in a row along the center of the circle. And then we wrap it as tightly as you can manage, and it will stick to itself. It's a neat little quality that these pancakes take on. And with not much effort, you can see you could make as many. If you're real hungry, you might know exactly how many spring rolls you can eat. There is our second spring roll. And we have a different sauce. I've taken 1 part of this dressing and 1 part peanut butter, and I microwaved it for 30 seconds. Let's see if that's enough. Well, it's a little thick, so I'm going to add just a little bit more. This doesn't not have to be exact. Just gonna, okay, so that's a dipping sauce just whisked with peanut butter and the dressing. We now have a peanut sauce. So you notice that the first spring roll had a little protein in the form of the chicken, and the second spring roll has a little protein in the dip in the form of the peanut butter sauce. So this is now our 5th variation of our mix and dressing. Our next dish is we're going to do stir fry. And why this is such a good variation is you can add any other extra vegetables that you have in the refrigerator with no problem. This is 4 skinless, boneless chicken thighs, and it made a lot of meat, except for the 2 little pieces I took out for that spring roll. This is way more meat than you need for a stir fry. So I suggest that what we'll do is take about half of it and we'll use it in a spicy Asian soup. Okay, so this meat was, after I diced the meat into bite-sized pieces, I put a little of the Asian sauce on it and let it marinate for about an hour. You could let it marinate, you could put it all in a Ziploc bag and let it marinate overnight if you're planning on this. Or you could even use chicken that is already cooked and just start heating it up for your stir fry. So the stir fry sauce we're going to use is our Asian dressing. So we'll start with just the chicken, and then I've cut up a small onion that I had in the refrigerator. Believe it or not, it's not a shallot. This is 1 onion, a tiny one. And we'll start that cooking because you know onions take a little bit longer. And just chopping those up. Then you could look in the refrigerator for things that are about to go. But the other thing is, remember the ends of the bok choy that I sliced up? Let's put that in there because it's going to take a little while for that. I have this on high, and if it needs any liquid, I'm not going to put water in it. I'm going to add more dressing. Now that that's going real well, let's start adding some of our slaw mix. These are such sturdy vegetables, they'll do very well. And add to, and this is a prep you've already done. So in a way, by preparing this the way we have, you've prepped for a week's worth of dinners. Another thing I want to add to my stir fry is These are reconstituted freeze-dried mushrooms. We'll put those in there. And I also have reconstituted broccoli. So let's add the broccoli. And I just reconstitute it right in the jar. It does beautifully. It'll add to the flavors of this dish. You don't have to add extra vegetables if you don't wish to, because you can just keep adding coleslaw until you have enough vegetables with your meat. You don't have to use chicken. You can use any kind of a pre-cooked meat that you have in your fridge that you want to use up. That's why the stir fry in the middle of the week is such a good idea. I added a lot of vegetables, and I want to be sure that they've got some of the dressing flavoring. Remember, this dressing is a little salty, so don't overdo it. It's salty. The entire source of salt in this is the soy sauce. So there are many who use soy sauce that is low salt. I have trouble keeping track of it, so I just thin mine out with water. So here we are almost through with, and it's just been a few minutes, a chicken stir fry with bok choy leaves and lots of cabbage, with broccoli and with mushrooms. And look how quick this is. It's taking very little time. I'm going to keep adding a little sauce until I make sure that as you stir, you can see that there's some vegetables that might not have any flavoring on it at all. Now, you can't see this, but in the bottom of the pan, there's still quite a bit of liquid. The veggies are almost all done. I have this on high because you want the vegetables to be quickly cooked when it's a stir fry. However, you don't want it too runny either. So I'm kind of waiting. Some of the bok choy looks like it needs a little bit more cooking, so I'll push that down in the liquid. But this is almost done. We will serve this on a bed of brown rice that we cook in a Instapot. And these new Instapots are pretty instant. You pretty well just dial what kind of food you're cooking and push start, making sure you get the right amount of water in it. And for rice of all kinds, it's 1 part rice to 2 parts water, and it doesn't seem to require more water for brown rice the way it normally does if you're cooking brown rice, because it's cooking by steam. The steam is making that tender and work out. So I can see the bottom is almost thick. What you could do, this is working out this way, but if you need to, you can make a little slurry of cornstarch and water and put that in to thicken up the juice. I'm just going to let it cook down and finish, because I haven't cooked with bok choy long enough to trust that it's done unless I'm really sure it's done. But you have lots of options, and use whatever is in your fridge for this stir fry to it. But in addition, don't forget you're working on the pile of coleslaw mix that you have in your fridge. Also, I'm not demonstrating this, but you could, turn this down. You could use the slaw mix in any sandwiches you make throughout the week. Just make whatever kind of sandwich, and it would be a delicious crunch to add to just about any kind of sandwich. I don't know about an Italian meatball sandwich with Asian veggies in it, but it would probably work just fine. So now we're ready. This is ready, and we're ready to serve meal number 5. We have our brown rice, and we'll just put a scoop of this luscious stir fry on the top. And then carrying through our theme, you are going to want to put both the wonton strips and a few peanuts on the top of that. And there is meal number 5. Our 6th dish, our 6th variation I should say, is lo mein. Lo mein has some vegetables in it and some pasta. And we thought it would be fun to just saute just this mix. I'm not going to add any other vegetables except for spinach. We should put broccoli in here, but my husband, who loves lo mein, does not like broccoli, and he will tolerate a little bit of spinach. So we'll put that in there too. Every opportunity that we have to include vegetables in our diet is a great opportunity. So this is almost done. And to help it cook, I'll add a little of the beef broth, because another favorite of my husband is beef lo mein. I have some already cooked beef that I will add to this. I only need some, I don't need it all. And I'll just warm that up because it's cold, straight from a can. And when this is warmed up, we will put this entire thing in the pot of pasta that we have over waiting. It calls for 1/4 cup of the Asian dressing. This is a tablespoon at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you've tasted it and it's not strong enough, it's your recipe now. So you go ahead and add whatever else you want to. I'm going to turn this up real high for just a minute to make sure everything is warmed up. And then we're going to stir it together with more of the broth. And it says 2 cups of water, but I'm not going to add 2 cups of water. Instead, I'm adding a total of 4 cups of broth. That will be plenty. Okay. So we'll warm up the rest of the sauce. Now, you can use lo mein noodles, which are egg noodles, and you can find them in the Asian section of a grocery store. But a quick version, I'm not claiming for this to be authentic. This is an Americanized version. Thin spaghetti works just fine to make this lo mein. So it's boiling now. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit, and then I'm going to put the rest of the noodles that we had pre-cooked earlier, remember? And there we have lo mein. So as soon as the noodles are heated, you have a very quick dish, especially because we're using pre-cooked meat and the vegetables were ready to just quickly saute. And you've got their soy sauce and ginger and all the things that normally would be put in individually. You've put them in a group. We're ready to serve dinner number 6. And my husband likes a lot of lo mein. And then I'll just put these veggies right on top. Look how pretty that looks. And I have some green onions. Green onions could be used on any of these things. I just want each one to look real different from the other. So here is meal number 6. Our final dish, dish number 7, is an Asian spicy noodle soup. The spice comes from sriracha sauce, and you can use as little or as much of this you like. We are going to start with 1 teaspoon. You can make this either beef or chicken. Our version today is going to be chicken. We've already cooked, this is about 2 chicken thighs that were cooked in the sauce. And in that goes, this dish requires extra garlic, so we'll put that in a minute. And it requires 4 cups of chicken broth. Now you can make this in any amount that you wish. Just the idea is make enough broth for you to enjoy some of your sauce. We'll bring this to a boil, and we'll put some of our, we have 2 cups planned for this, so I'm not going to measure them. That's almost 1. Okay, that's 2. That's 1 cup, and here's 2 cups. So this uses quite a lot of your mix, and it does cook down. We'll use 1/4 cup of Asian dressing. I'm not going to measure, I'm just going to guess 1/4 cup. There we go. And the sriracha sauce, I'm going to start with 1 teaspoon. If you really like sriracha sauce, you might want more. That's about 1 teaspoon. You want 2 more cups of water, which I'll get in just a moment. And then we have to add the garlic. I want to talk while this is heating up about the noodles. This is, need a little stir there. This is specific on this recipe to use rice noodles. Now, you can see them at the supermarket. They are available. And I'm only going to use some of the noodles in 1 bowl of soup because I want to be sure and use this for leftovers. And the directions on the box say that this doesn't last very long. That if you leave it boiling, you don't boil them at all. You put them in boiling broth, turn off the heat, and then you serve it as soon as it's soft. If you let it sit too long, it goes mushy. So when I come back, I'll have the 2 cups of water, and I'll get the garlic. This is boiling really well, and now we're going to slow it down by putting the missing 2 cups of water in this. You don't want the soup to be too strong. And it also calls for extra garlic, so we'll put about 1 tablespoon of garlic in this. Again, this is freeze-dried garlic powder. Okay. Because we haven't exactly measured, it's important to correct or adjust the seasonings according to taste. So I'm just going to take a little sip and tell you it is delicious, but I think it needs a little bit more sriracha sauce. Whoops, I closed it. And I'm going to do just a little bit, maybe 2 more tablespoons full of the Asian dressing. Now that it's coming to a boil, I'll taste it one more time, just to make sure. Very tasty. Now, because I want to save the sauce for reusing later, not the sauce, the soup, I have boiling soup, and I've already put noodles in this bowl that we're going to use to eat now. And then you just ladle on over the noodles and wait just a couple of minutes until those noodles are soft. And as soon as these noodles are soft, we will have our 7th meal. It's been a pleasure to work with you in the kitchen. So if you can imagine, let's review that you've made up a big batch of sauce. Ignore this because I put extra vegetables in there. And we're just about down to the amount of sauce that we used up that whole 8 ounces worth of dressing. And all we have left is this waiting for the noodles, which we are, I'm just going to garnish this just a little bit with some wonton noodles and some green onions. And here is meal number 7. So you have prepped for a whole week of exotic meals and varied it in many different ways. It's been fun to cook in the kitchen together.